This week On the Road with Mickey, pro tips for visiting Walt Disney World.
We're on the road with Mickey, we're gonna have some fun. Regardless of the rain or sun, our trip has just begun. So buckle up, let's go. We're about to start the show. And maybe if you like us, you'll see where else we'll go.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike, and she's Sophie.
And she's Brenda.
Hi, everyone.
And he is Grogu. He wants to know what in the world is going on with our lives because he is just feeling left out a little bit.
So much, buddy.
We
So,
love
so
you.
much.
We love you.
And he says, "We are on the road with Mickey." That's Grogu's tagline. We are on the road with Mickey.
I like it.
I like it too. I'm surprised it only took me 254 episodes to come up with something kind of clever.
Obviously, that was Grogu who came up with it, Daddy.
Well, but he told it to me to say, and he didn't tell me until today. So yeah, he did come up with it. Anyway, as you know, this is episode 254 for February 24th, 2025, and our feature topic this week is pro tips for visiting Walt Disney World. We have been to Walt Disney World enough times that we feel like we can enhance your upcoming trip with some really good information that maybe you didn't think of. Maybe you know all these. Maybe you are a pro.
Yeah, you never know.
And if that's the case, then you can say on our comments, Mike, I knew all that. I thought you knew something I didn't know.
Or you can say, I agree with every single thing you said.
That would work too.
Or if you're really a pro and you know something that we don't know, you could say why you disagree with something we said and explain why, as long as you keep it respectful.
Yeah. Or you can leave a comment and tell us something that we might have left off of our list.
That's
Right.
true.
Because
So
there's a lot. So, I mean, you'd have
there,
to spend all day long talking about every single thing. So we kind
yeah,
of narrowed it down a bit, but
yeah.
okay.
But anyway, before we get into all that, we have some cheddar from the big cheese. And Sophie, it is your turn to start us off.
All right, then. Well, don't mind me just drinking my tea because tea goes good with cheese. Coming soon to Walt Disney World, a new attraction near you, the elimination of virtual queues. They are going away completely. There are not going to be any left. That means no virtual queues for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, no virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy, none of that. And
Yeah.
it will be happening very, very soon, specifically on February 25th, which is the day after this episode releases.
That's right.
That's right.
And
Fair warning, one day.
yeah.
Fair warning. Yeah, I'd say that's a perfectly fair warning. So make sure to buy your lightning lanes if you can.
Or if you
Yeah, you
wish.
don't have to get up early and do virtual queue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleep in if you want.
And this
So
is the
Daddy,
first time in years that they haven't had any virtual queues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Daddy, I would like to add a bunch of lightning lanes to my trip in June. Thank you.
You're welcome, but that's something we will do through your app. It's
I
not
know.
something your travel agent adds as part of your trip. It's something that we do on the app itself.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right,
indeed.
Brenda, you're next.
Well, guess what? The 70th anniversary of Disneyland is coming quickly, and I can't wait because I'll be there in October. There are several things in store to celebrate. One that I'm interested in is a tribute to the Sherman Brothers. I am so excited about this, y'all, because remember when they first did the verse, and we actually talked on here about wouldn't it be cool if they added it in? And I know I'm not the only one. We're all thrilled that they're sticking that extra verse in there for a tribute to the Sherman Brothers coming to Main Street Cinema. They're putting it in the ride. They're putting it in. It's a small
Wow.
world.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And I am
gosh.
just so thrilled. I'm
That
thrilled
is
about the Main Street
wonderful.
Cinema thing too, but I'm really thrilled that they're putting it in the Bride.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And you know what? As we get closer, I think the 70th anniversary kicks off sometime in May. Is that
May.
right?
Yeah.
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 Maybe as we start seeing some of the other things that they're celebrating, maybe we'll talk about them as they come up in Cheddar down the
Oh
road.
yes, definitely, because
Yeah.
they just trickle out information, you know.
Yeah, because this is not the only thing that is
Oh,
being done to celebrate the 70th
definitely
anniversary.
not.
So,
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot of good stuff.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, heading back across the land to Walt Disney World, the green light, so to speak, get it? Cars Land, green light,
Gotcha.
has been given to replace the Rivers of America with Cars Land and Villains Land. The permit date was February 17th, 2025. It's a 5-year permit, so it goes until 2030 unless it gets extended. And the total scope of the project in landmass is over 300 acres, people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
That is amazing.
it's going to be quite a transformation when it's done, but no word on when Liberty Bell, um, Riverboat, or when Tom Sawyer Island are closing. So if you have a trip coming up, Sophie, and it's open, maybe you want to take one last stroll down
Yeah,
that memory lane. You know,
Yeah.
that's right.
that might be worth a video.
Yeah.
But anyway, the scope of that project and the size is just phenomenal. I think I read somewhere it is the biggest um, project as far as size in Disney history.
Expansion at least, because yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. That's big.
it
Good
is.
thing Walt bought up all that land for cheap, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh my gosh. It makes me wonder. Well, hopefully it takes less than 5 years, but it makes me wonder how long all of this is going to take. Like
It's gonna take
exactly
a
how
long
long.
time.
yeah,
It took forever to build Everest. I remember going there trip after trip after trip, and I'm like, is this thing ever gonna be finished?
yeah,
Who knows? Well, I mean, it did get finished, but
Yeah. Sooner or later.
yeah.
hopefully
And
sooner.
I'm trying to remember when they closed Toontown Square and expanded Fantasyland. It was 2 or 3 years, I
It
want to
was a long
say.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
It, it feels like a long time then, but looking back on it, it doesn't feel that long. And I don't remember the exact timeline it took, but
It was a long time.
mhm.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is our cheddar from the big cheese. And don't forget, you can connect with us on all of our social media channels. We have our Facebook group and our Facebook page, the YouTube channel. Hi, everyone that's watching.
Hello.
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 Our Instagram channel, our email address. If you want to email us, you can do so at info@ontheroadwithmickey.com, or you can go to the website ontheroadwithmickey.com and see all of those sorts of things bubbled up into the webpage. So,
Yeah.
so
Leave us a
come say
comment
hello.
because we love to hear
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah, come
It
leave
just
us a
makes
comment
our day.
and come say hello somewhere. Um, Now it is time for our feature topic, and we are talking about some pro tips for visiting Walt Disney World. We are just kind of going around listing some things that you may not have thought of, or maybe things that you have thought of, but maybe you didn't think of them in a certain way. And so we're just going to go around and see what we come up with a list that might be helpful. I know when we did our last topic about winter, visiting Disney in the winter, Brenda mentioned that one of her clients listened to the show and it gave her and her family a lot of really good information that they hadn't thought about.
Yep,
And
that's what
so,
we're hoping to do.
and
Yep.
that's what we hope this will do as well, is give you some stuff that maybe you didn't think about, you know? So we're just going to jot these down and they're going to be listed in the show notes for all eternity. And as well, they'll be on our YouTube channel on this episode. So you can play it back over and over and over and over again.
Yes. Anytime you
Oh,
need it, right before your next trip.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Or right before you're about to start planning your next trip.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like you just think, oh, hey, I want to go to Disney. I better go listen to that episode they had with all the pro tips.
that's right.
Exactly.
That's why we do what we do. Spreading
Hmm.
the
Yep.
love.
So I'm going to give the shameless plug for the first tip. And I'm going to explain why after I do so. But the first tip that I think um, should be should be a no brainer, um, if you want to call it that. But use a travel agent slash travel advisor when you're planning your trip. Okay, and here's why. As you may know, you may not know, but as you may know, when you look up pricing for Walt Disney World for your package, your dates, your resort, your tickets, everything like that, it comes out to X dollars. And when we look up a package for you with your dates and your package and everything like that, it comes out to the same pricing. And the reason it does that is because Disney builds in the amount that they're going to pay for a commission to your travel agent when they help you book that trip. So if you're not using a travel agent, then you're still paying for the services of a travel agent, but you're not getting the expertise and level of service that you should expect when paying for it. So use a travel advisor because you'll help their small business and they'll help you to have the best trip possible. So that's tip number one. I wanted to get that out of there. And obviously, I'm a travel agent. Brenda's a travel advisor, travel agent, and where there's a vested interest. But we go into this process. I spoke about this a little while ago. We don't go into this to be millionaires. We go into this to help our clients have the best trip to Disney possible. So,
And thank goodness for it, Daddy, because I know one thing. If I had to plan my own Disney trips completely on my own, without your help, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, I'd maybe be able to get my own tickets and whatnot, but I wouldn't know how to book a stay in a resort on my own.
well, thank you, Sophie. All
You're
right.
welcome.
So that's tip number one.
All right,
Who,
tip number 2.
who wants to go next?
Aunt Brenda, I think you're the one who wrote this one, so you go ahead.
I think Dad did, actually.
Oh, well, in that case, I'll say it. Planning ahead. Here's the thing about Disney. Unless you live in Florida, specifically the Orlando area, and you have an annual pass, then you cannot simply just say, I want to go to Disney this weekend and just go walk up right to the parks and be let in. That's not how that works. And even if you do have an annual pass, that's still not how that works. The thing you want to do is plan ahead. It's just as plain and simple as that. It's a months long process in order to get your tickets, figure out where you're going to stay, figure out what you're going to eat, figure out the budget. These are expensive trips. You'll want to make sure that you're not breaking your wallet just to pay for all this, but it is worth it in the end. And also, lightning lanes, reservations, all that good stuff. Those things cannot be made the day of. They need to be made at least a week in advance for lightning lanes and 60 days in advance for the dining reservations and all that stuff.
You can do them last minute, but you won't have the advantage of doing them before everybody's spoken for them all.
And
Yeah,
it's very, very stressful if you do them last minute because you know something's going to pop up.
yeah. All right. Brenda, do you have something you want to add?
Well, going right back to, using an agent, don't just use a regular travel agent. I mean, use someone who specializes in Disney travel like Mike or myself, because
Mm-hmm.
there's just a lot involved and things change constantly. And we always are trying to benefit our guests by letting them know new news that comes out. All of a sudden, you're staying at a Skyliner resort, but Disney just said they're going to close the Skyliner for that week. Do you want to try to switch? How important is a Skyliner to you? Various things like that. Trying to always monitor for deals to come up, stay in the know, and automatically apply those deals. But another thing is, when you're considering, for instance, whether to have park hoppers or not, whether to have the dining plan. And you know what? I have to say, before COVID, like, I would say that 90% of my guests had the dining plan. And then after
Mm-hmm.
COVID, the dining plan didn't come back forever. And
Yeah.
since it's been back, because guests got used to not having it, it is not as popular. And I can say, when I'm talking to my guests, if, like, for instance, the guest I was talking to last night, they have a 6-year-old that's never been. I said, if you're wanting to do character dining each day of your trip, it's going to behoove you to do the dining plan. But if you want to just like eat quick service and do one character meal, then at the most you should get the quick service dining plan. But let's talk about the table service, because if you are not on a dining plan and you go to a table service restaurant, you can share an appetizer, you can share an entree, you can share a dessert. Maybe you want to buy an extra salad, but share everything else and save money that way. You can do that if you're paying out of pocket, but you cannot share table service meals if you're on the dining plan. So these are all things that need to be considered, and this is one of the reasons why having someone helping you is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. The dining plan um has not, in my opinion, been the same and had the same impact as it used to.
Right. I think
And
so too.
I mean, Sophie got the free
The
quick
free
service
one.
dining plan
Yeah, that's
for,
Yeah,
awesome. Especially
and
for
that
you,
is
it
because that's
awesome.
is.
perfect.
But if that wasn't a promotion,
Mhm.
then I don't think she would have been adding it on.
Mm-mm.
Probably not. She would have,
Yeah, she would have been
paid
eating
for it
around the
as
world more.
Yeah.
so. So it's one of those things. It's like, it's not what it used to be. Um,
And
but it can,
sometimes it's a great idea and sometimes
you
it's
know,
not.
the whole
Yeah.
purpose of the dining plan, the thing I like most about it is being able to have most of your meal costs already paid for when you get there.
Yes. It's like an
That's
all-inclusive vacation,
it's
especially
as
if you have
close
quick
as you get.
service, because you don't even have to worry about the tips if you're not doing table service.
Right.
So that is a lot of people who do like to have like the all-inclusive package already done, and then they just, use their credits. That's easy for them.
Yeah, and
But
also like you were saying with the character dining, if you didn't have the dining plan and you wanted to take your kids to Chef Mickey's and you wanted to take them to Cinderella's table and you wanted to take them to Crystal Palace and you wanted to go see the princesses over at Akershus, you're talking some serious coinage going
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
out when you're spending your money at each of those restaurants.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, and those actually, when you're talking about those, and I'm glad you brought those up, because since Chef Mickey and Akershus are, well, Akershus you actually order off the menu, but Chef Mickey's a buffet. You can't share buffets,
mm-mm.
for table service, but you can share if you're ordering off the menu. So there is a difference in that. I'm glad you brought that up, because
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
you can't share a buffet meal, but a lot of a lot of meals are not. I mean, I guess it's probably half and half as far as what's buffet and what's order off the menu.
Yeah.
Most characters are buffet.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions, and um, the only sharing exception is if you have a child under age 3.
Right.
when you're not paying a ticket or a room cost for them, then you can share your meal with them.
Yeah.
But that's the only exception.
Yeah, they're free. So go all the way until they're 3, and then you have to start paying for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, that was a very good point, Brenda. I didn't even think about that as far as getting someone that actually specializes because they know the ins and outs, and
Yeah.
Disney, one of the neat things about Disney, um, for anyone listening that's not a travel agent, is there is knowledge base that you have to re-up every year. You have to go through the college of knowledge, and you have to do that every year to be able to be eligible to get your benefits of as being an agent. Um, and and if you don't do it, then you don't get it. But
Yeah.
also, if you don't do it, then you fall behind and you're not able to help your clients as well as you should.
Yeah.
So it's really neat that they have updates every year to what's going on at the parks and what you need to know
Yeah.
as an agent. So, all right, Sophie, do you have something you want to add? You
Um,
want to go on to the next one, or do you want me to go to the next one?
I was going to go on to the next one if that's okay.
Go for
And
it.
this is one that I came up with myself, and that is that budgeting. I'm going back to
Mm,
the budgeting thing because that is so stinking important when it comes to Disney. There are ways that you can enjoy Disney plenty, for lack of a better word, while also not breaking the bank doing so.
yeah.
And one of the best things you can do after figuring out how big your party is, depending on how big your party is, you might be able to make one room work. You might have to do multiple rooms, but there are also like different suites and whatnot based on what hotel you stay at that can accommodate a whole bunch of people. And of course, the
Hmm.
more people you bring with you, then obviously the more costly it can get, but you'll have multiple people being able to split the cost between you guys. I find that for a value resort, because I like the value resorts, there are different brackets. For a value resort, like say Pop Century, maybe 2 to 4 people would be the best party size, because there are rooms that sleep that many, especially in the value resorts. If you wanted to bring like 6 to 8 people, you could bump up to a moderate or a deluxe resort. But if you're looking for to spend as little money as possible, the value resorts are the way to go. Pop Century is the best. Don't quote me on that because there are people who will disagree with me.
Hmm.
But also, again, you don't need the dining plan if you don't want it, but the dining plan does help if you want all those things that Aunt Brenda was talking about, like the characters and whatnot. There are things you can do for free at Disney as well that you don't need to pay a whole bunch of money besides the ticket to get you into the park. There are the shows, there are the rides, of course, and there are even like pin trading and whatnot. If you have just one pin, you can still trade that pin for another pin that you like better. There are so many different things at Disney, and not all of them cost money. I wish I could think of more off the top of my head, but that's really that's really all I can really think of right now.
Okay. Well, to piggyback on that, um, just a little quick information. Pop Century will sleep up to four.
Yeah.
Art of Animation will sleep four in a Little Mermaid suite, or a Little Mermaid room, or you can sleep up to six if you get a suite. Um, and Caribbean Beach will sleep four or five in a room, depending on the room type. The deluxes will sleep four or five, or the deluxe villas will sleep multiple bedrooms. So that's when you can get into big parties. But
Yeah.
And if
yeah,
you have a party of 5, you will always save money by, well, I won't say always, but most of the time you will save money by reserving a moderate room for a family of 5 instead of the family suite at Art of Animation, which is always more expensive, or
Yeah.
usually if there's no discount disparity.
hmm
It's usually more expensive than a moderate property. So you're going from a value property up to a moderate property with more amenities, a theme, slides at the pool, etc., for less cost. So
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's another thing your travel agent will work with you is to give you pricing on different categories so you can see the differences in what you're looking at, and which one works best for your family. So, um,
Yeah.
some of the free stuff you can do, Disney Springs.
Yep.
There's a lot of free concerts and stuff like that at Disney Springs. Going to the boardwalk also, there's a lot of free things you can do over there. At your resort, there's the pools. There's also
The movie
movies at
nights.
night and stuff like that, and just various things there that you don't even have to have a ticket for that day
No,
to get into the park.
and all
Um,
the pools have those poolside games that are a lot of fun for the kids.
that's
yeah,
true. I believe that we found it at the Contemporary Resort. It was giant checkers, but I've
They
seen
have a
in
lot
other
of stuff.
resorts they have giant chess pieces, which are like the same size as a small child.
yeah. So there's a lot of neat things. Um, don't forget about things like the electric water pageant and stuff like that you can
Yeah.
Yeah.
see outside of the parks. You
The
don't have to
mainstay
be
since 1971.
exactly. Um, so, and you know what? If you want to just have an easy non-park day, go hop on a Skyliner for a few rides.
Yeah.
Or the
It's such a
monorail.
or the monorail.
You're
Brenda's not
scared of
going to ride the
heights.
Skyliner, but we
No.
will, and it's such a relaxing thing. And I remember when it first opened up, and we were there, and we didn't. We were done for the day, and we were staying where we would have normally taken the bus back to our resort because this is during COVID closure. When it first reopened, we were at the cabins, so we would have taken bus from were we Hollywood Studios, I think, that day. Anyway, we were one of either Epcot or Hollywood Studios, and we were done for the day. We would have bussed back to the cabins at Fort Wilderness, and we were like, you know what? Let's ride the Skyliner, and we rode the Skyliner all the way down to Pop Century, and we got off,
Yeah.
and we got back on and rode all the way back to Hollywood Studios, and then took our bus back to the cabins.
Gave you a
And it
little
was
something extra to do.
it
This was
was
That
fun.
just
was that
a
was right
very
before the Riviera had opened.
yeah, it was such a relaxing little ride, and
Yeah.
it's an awesome thing. So Brenda doesn't know what she's talking about when she says she doesn't like it. But anyway, so
Oh,
She
with
gosh.
that,
doesn't like the way that it gets faster before it stops.
I don't
and
like
she
how it's
doesn't like
dangling above the ground, way up above the ground.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to not like the Skyway either at Walt Disney World when I was a kid. Oh my gosh,
Oh, I
I hated
love
it.
the Skyway.
I
I
hated it
loved
so
it.
bad.
Loved it, loved it, loved
No.
You
No.
don't strike me as a person who likes Ferris wheels, do you, Aunt
Not
Brenda?
at all. No, no, no.
What about
Got
Mickey's
it.
Fun Wheel?
No, no, no,
Oh,
no.
I love Mickey's Fun Wheel, and I do not
No.
like Ferris wheels, but I love Mickey's Fun Wheel,
Oh, it is not a fun wheel. No.
especially the one that moves. Oh
Oh,
my gosh,
no,
I
no,
Oh
am
no.
getting
yeah.
off
Don't
track.
torture me.
Getting so off track here. Okay, back to
Okay.
topic. I
All
am
right.
going to share this one, and that is to prepare for mixed weather.
Mm.
It could be hot as blazes. It could be hotter than Texas. I don't know how, but it could
I don't
be.
know how either.
It could be as cold as the 4 inches of snow we just received in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah.
It could be raining,
Yes.
and it
Oh,
probably will be if you're there during the summer.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah,
prepared
that's
for
stormy
all of
season.
those sorts of eventualities. Be prepared for any circumstance. Look at the weather app, program the destination, Walt Disney World, into your app, and you'll see what's going on. And it might, or if it doesn't show up as Walt Disney World, look up Bay Lake, and it'll show you what the conditions are and what it's going to be. So
Yeah.
just be prepared when it comes to that sort of stuff. And that's, I think, something that everyone probably thinks of, but
Yep.
just be
Pack your
ready.
sunscreen and your poncho.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Better
and
safe than
maybe
sorry.
and maybe a little windbreaker depending on what time of year you're going.
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to go back to the budget again. I think a lot of I think a lot of people, you know, need some budgeting tips.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Disney's rules. Okay?
Yeah.
You are allowed to bring in your own snacks and you're allowed to bring in a bottle of water. You can't bring a cooler in full of, sandwiches and stuff and wheel your cooler around. But if it'll fit in your backpack and your child loves cheese nips and peanut butter crackers and that's all they'll basically eat, put it in your backpack, bring it into the park. It helps with the picky eater thing and it helps with the budgeting thing because you're not having to pay for expensive snacks except for the ones you choose to get, which you can't get anywhere else except at the park. We like those. But also when you get tired and you just, need a break, sit down somewhere and just people watch and have your snack. And you can bring your water bottle in like this water bottle. And there are at the water fountains in the park, there's also water bottle refill stations. So
Hmm.
you can refill them. If you need water that's cold, you can go to any quick service location and tell them you'd like a cup of ice water and you'll get that free every time. Walt made sure of it. So there are ways to save on, money that Disney allows with a happy heart and take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Take advantage of those things. Um, it's super important because the reality is that visiting Walt Disney World is an expense, and it's a
It is.
significant expense. So anything you can do to to help out on the cost is smart thinking,
Yeah.
And let me give you another. I'm going to go off just a little bit here. When it comes to your package, if you are booking a package is a room, tickets, and possibly dining, or room and dining and no tickets if you have an annual pass or something. Um, if you do that, the deposit amount is $200. That books your reservation. The whatever the amount is, that $200 gets it locked in. The
Mhm.
remaining balance is due 30 days prior to your arrival. However, you can pay each day if you want up to at least $20. You can pay a minimum of $20 at a time towards your trip. And it'll keep socking that little bit of down
Mhm.
that will cut down on the amount that you need to pay at the end. So you
Yep.
can have your travel agent go ahead and make a payment. Say I want to pay $100 a week, and they'll do it for you, and you'll get it
Yep.
done, and
We
that'll
have
help you.
many guests like that.
Yeah, and it'll
And
help
that's
you
why you
get
can
your trip taken care of.
so book far in advance so you have more
Yeah.
time to pay on it. We're happy to make those payments for you so that you don't have this big amount at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
We
and
if
it's
you're
prefer it.
like
I
me.
prefer it because I like for families to be able to, budget a bit.
right
Yeah.
because we want our families to enjoy their time, but we also don't want them to run into any sort of financial issues because of it.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
plan it out and plan it
And it's
out
yeah.
both
And
both
especially
for
if
the
you're going to
trip.
pay out of pocket and not have a dining plan, you're going to have a lot of out of pocket cost while you're
Hmm.
Mhm.
there. You need to plan on that. So
Yeah.
if you have the trip paid like incrementally before it's due, you can save money toward what your food's going to cost.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that I just wanted to make sure people were aware. You don't
Yay.
have to wait till the very end.
No. All right. Back to me.
Yep.
And this one is a little bit silly, but it is still rather important. I have seen so many people planning their trips to Disney, and the most ridiculous thing that I hear come out of their mouth is, I am so excited to see Harry Potter Land.
Yeah.
That's not in Disney.
No, it's
Nope.
not.
That's not. And people who are there are people who will be like, okay, so I want to ride Expedition Everest. I want to ride Splash Mountain. I want to ride Big Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, but all the different mountains, but they don't realize that not all the mountains are in the same park. So the thing that you need to do, especially if this is your first time going to Disney, you've never been before, get yourself a map of each of the 4 parks. Acquaint yourself with where things are. Because if you say you buy a ticket for Epcot, but you also have a dining reservation for, say, Crystal Palace in the Magic Kingdom, unless you have Park Hopper, you're not going to be able to get to that reservation, and you need to put a deposit down for those things. So you're basically going to be losing money for a meal that you cannot physically get to the place where you're meant to eat it. Make sure that you know where things are so that you can plan your days accordingly. Even if you know where everything is, in which park it's in, make sure you know where those things are in that park, because you may be in Animal Kingdom and you may have a lightning lane for Expedition Everest at, say, noon for, let's just be optimistic here, but then you have another lightning lane for Flight of Passage
Pandora.
or something. Yeah, Flight of Passage, and it's at 12:30. That is only 30 or so minutes to get from one section of the park all the way across to the other, and you are going to be out of breath. So if you can, plan your day so that you know where you're going, you know the most efficient way to get to all the things you want to get to, and you're not constantly running from one side of the park to the other.
Right. And in that
Yeah.
case, since the time slots are an hour, you would need to be like at Everest at the start of your 12 o'clock and then over to the other one by 1:30 because it will end at 1:30.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great
Okay.
tip. You don't want to go back and forth across the park. That's exhausting, especially when you have little kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And one correction about the dining reservation, only some of them would you pay up front. If you go to Cinderella's Royal Table, then that reservation they want you to pay up front. And if you cancel in advance, then you get your refund on it. Um,
Okay.
if you don't show up, then you get charged. Um,
Got
so
it.
so that's
Yeah.
the
And
slight
no
difference
agent's
there.
going to let that happen. So
No.
another reason to use an agent.
Yeah.
Another
And the
reason
other
to use an agent.
the other thing that is helpful is if you don't have time to get maps, physical maps, don't forget about the maps in the app. The My
Yeah.
Disney Experience app has a ton of stuff. And one of the things that's really helpful is the maps for seeing where things are in each of the parks. So get acquainted with the My Disney Experience app. And that's actually going to be my next tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very big because it's full of information and you need to be familiar with how to use that app before you go because there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
Yeah. And your travel agent, um, most of the time they will walk through with you what you can do on it and what you can't do.
Yes.
And when it comes to making those reservations for table service restaurants, that gets done through your My Disney Experience account most of the time. And um, so they will do that for you if that's one of the services most travel agents that specialize in Disney will do is help with that. So, but yeah, the maps is a really important thing. Um, knowing where things are
For
can
sure.
can really help you have a day that is more relaxed
Easy. Yeah, not as
as
stressful.
opposed to one that you're running from hoop to hoop to hoop trying to fit it
That's
all
right.
in.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Right.
All right.
Give me something else, ladies.
Well, we'll go back to planning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I recommend, and I don't know, Mike, if you have a different opinion on this, but I recommend having a skeleton plan, but maintaining flexibility. If you have 5 people in your family going, find out what the top 3 things for each of the people is, what the top 3 rides they want to do or shows they want to see or whatever, and have a skeleton plan where you've covered all that, but
Mm-hmm.
be flexible enough to bend and move if things require it. It's just
Yeah.
good to do. It's good to
I
have a plan, but not stick to it like 3
Glue.
minutes from this is this and 3 minutes from this. It's just it's that is not relaxing.
No.
right. I had never heard of it called as a skeleton plan, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Um,
because then you can flesh it out as you go.
yeah. And
And you
the one
cover
of the
everyone's
things
wishes.
exactly. And the one thing you need to remember if your family is planning their trip is that it is everyone's vacation.
Yes. Including
It's
yours.
it's your vacation, it's your
Yep.
kids' vacation, it's your parents, it's grandma and grandpa's vacation, and they all have different things they want to do. And so Brenda is absolutely spot on in doing that and being able to try and accommodate all those different things, and also getting into a situation where you're flexible and you can take it easy and you're not, like Brenda said, go 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 and wearing yourself ragged. You
Yeah,
know,
Yeah.
you know
because
what
that's
I
the
did the
last
other
thing you
day,
want to
Brenda?
do.
What did you
I
do?
I had a client who was going for 2 nights, 3 days,
Mhm.
and had or 3 nights, but it was 2 days tickets, and they want their grandkids were young, and they wanted to go to the Magic Kingdom, and maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I utilized AI. I said,
Oh.
I've got a
Be
family.
careful with that.
Yeah, I said I got a family that um that has these kids, these heights, and they're going to Magic Kingdom for 2 days, and I want them to ride every single thing they can. And it would give me a list, it would give me a plan, and I'd be like, well, that's not correct. That's not correct. And I'd like,
Yeah.
that's not correct.
Gotta
And
weed through
and
it.
it would tweak it. It would tweak it as I went through, and it would keep adjusting it. And when it was done, I pasted it and I sent it to them and said, what do you think of this? And they went with it because they had never been to Disney,
Yay,
their
that's great.
grandkids, and they absolutely loved it. The plan worked
Yay.
perfectly for them.
Well, be careful with Google though, because there is a lot of
Oh
old
yeah.
information out there and it shows up like it's law and it's not. So
Yeah.
just be real cautious.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid of it. But you have to know, you have to own the truth. You have to say, I am the owner of the truth. I know what's right and what's not in that respect.
Yeah.
And if they say this, because one of the things they were saying was ride Splash Mountain, and then it said it's being rethemed as Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and I'm like, that's already done.
Yeah. There's still Mickey's
So there's
Mickey's backyard barbecue still out there as a table service dining. That thing's been closed for like 8 years.
So anyway, you got to be real careful, but it was helpful, and it was interesting for me to see how it would work, and to be able to almost audit the course, if you will, to see how it would do, but knowing that I have to tweak it as I go.
Yeah.
And it was able to come up with a really good plan. It just took me giving it additional feedback to make sure that it knew what was correct and what wasn't.
Right. And
But
think of
Yeah.
all the people who are doing that thinking that the information they're getting is correct and it's not. And
right.
that's
Yeah.
very bad.
So you got to
I
be
wish there
real
was a
careful.
way to keep that from happening, but I guess there's not.
No, I don't think there is because it's such a new technology.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to experiment. And I made sure I was totally certain before I sent that to my client, you know.
Good thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So, but you're right. That baseline plan, that skeleton plan of what you're doing, and making sure that everyone has the opportunity to enjoy the things they want to enjoy.
Right.
That is really key. All right. What's next?
Aunt Brenda?
Well, know the height requirements for rides. Manage your I always tell people, please manage your expectations. Number one, if a resort offers a standard view room or a preferred view room, which obviously costs more, don't book the standard view room and then request the preferred and then get upset that you didn't get a preferred. You have to manage your expectations. If you didn't pay for a preferred room and you requested one and you didn't get one, just don't let it ruin your trip.
Yeah.
If your child is an inch shorter than the ride they're really looking forward to, you should definitely know that before you go. Otherwise, it's going to break their little bitty hearts. And plus, if you know that for instance, your child's too small for Expedition Everest, but you're really looking forward to riding it, there's a single rider line. So, just, there's ways around things and everything can kind of be worked out, but it helps to have people kind of advising you sometimes. But managing expectations to me is very important. I want people to have the best time of their lives. I want them to just relish in being able to have that special time with their family, because it's so rare that everyone can be together, and I want them to be happy at every moment. So, just please manage expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I try and make sure my first time guests realize is that you cannot do everything in one trip.
No.
I mean, if you had that, like Brenda said, wanting to spend a month in a resort,
God, that'd be wonderful.
That would be about as close as you could get to getting and doing everything you wanted to. But most of us aren't Brenda and can't spend a month at
Well,
a
I
park.
haven't. I haven't done it yet. It's a dream.
So
I'm gonna one day.
So you gotta make sure that you kind of, it comes back to planning in many ways. You have to know what you want to do, so that you're doing the things that matter the most. And I remember, and I wish they had these, back to maps, but they used to have the maps you could order that came on really thick paper, and you could put stars on where you were staying, and
Yeah.
So much fun planning.
And it was the ultimate planning tool. And I remember Sophie got a book about planning her trip to Walt Disney World, and she would read that thing.
So many.
I mean, she would read that page by page 3 times a day, probably. And she was getting ready for her trip. And don't be afraid to pick up a book on Walt Disney World to help with your dreaming, on what you and your kids want to do. Give it to them for Christmas or something, and say, hey, here, let's go through and let's write down what we want to do.
Yeah.
Look at
Found
that.
it.
It's so
Walt
much
Disney
fun to
World for
plan.
kids. Walt Disney World.
2011 edition.
Oh, wow. That's old.
Yep.
It is super old.
Wow.
I underlined almost every single thing in this book. Oh my gosh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I just found like the Haunted Mansion. Well, I just found it and then I lost it again. But I noticed it had a little like icon next to it that said scary because it
Yeah.
would describe each ride on like
A
little
scale for
a
kids.
scale. Yeah. And I had specifically crossed out the scary icon because I don't know, I guess I didn't want to think it was scary. Oh my goodness.
Good to know.
But that kind of stuff, I mean, you spend a little money. What's the price of that on the cover,
Oh
Sophie?
my goodness.
$12.95.
Okay.
Wow. It's
And maybe
probably
it's a
like
little more,
29.95 now.
maybe,
Yeah.
but even still, it's not a bad investment for
That's
for
awesome.
you and your
Yep.
kids to start going through and looking through
Sweet.
and having your physical hand on something that you're
Yeah.
like it makes it that much more real, you know?
Yes, it's so much fun to plan and dream about it.
Yeah.
Apparently, I even went back and like made notes about some of the rides in this because
Uh-huh, she did.
I turned to the Hall of Presidents and I wrote, "Not that thrilling, but nice." That was in my little 10-year-old handwriting.
Oh my.
But yeah, there it is. There's a Haunted Mansion one. And see, crossed out the scary part.
Ah,
I love it,
Oh,
Sophie. Gosh.
oh
So
gosh. I'm gonna
that's
reread
just
that
awesome. That's just
later.
awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
But those sorts of things are it's all about you and your family having the absolute best trip you could possibly have because you've invested money in it.
For
And you
sure.
want this to be a
Oh
memory
yeah.
maker that lasts for decades, your
Yeah.
whole life, hopefully, you
Yeah.
know? So do
Make
what you can to
memories.
make that happen. And managing expectations is a really big key, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one thing I'm going to say, I've said this before multiple times, but it kind of comes with managing expectations. But one of the things that you want to try and make sure you do is you take time to smell the roses or whatever scent is coming from whatever part of the Magic Kingdom you're in, you know? But
Especially the Disney
time,
shampoos.
take time to smell the scents from the parks. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is don't be so rushed that you are feeling like you have to go, 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 go to get from, like Brenda said, from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E and never slowing down. You gotta, you gotta take time to slow it down, calm it down.
Hmm.
You know what? If it's available the day you're there, ride the transportation.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
always available, but that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
haven't done that in forever. See if you can become the what is it, the grand marshal of Main Street or whatever in the
Parade.
car.
Yeah.
There's just so many little things. Take in at 5 o'clock, take in the flag ceremony when they
Yeah.
lower the flag at the Magic Kingdom in Town Square.
Yeah.
There's
Beautiful.
so many very powerful moments that a lot of us just blow by and don't think about, you know,
Yeah.
raising my hand. So take time to smell the roses or whatever is out there.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
I think for new parents or young young couples and whatnot, but this is for whatever reason when Aunt Brenda mentioned the height requirements, it got me thinking families with very little kids and whatnot, just because you're at Disney does not mean that all of the things of regular life go away. Most of them do, but if you're a new mom or parents or dad and you have your little ones with you, you're still going to have to keep that routine. And some of the best things that I have found out about recently is there are quiet places in the park that are specifically designed for mothers with young children. They can go to these places. There are like nursing rooms for mothers who are still breastfeeding their children. There are little play places for, say,
Mm-hmm.
an older child to be watched by Disney staff while their parents are taking care of their baby siblings or whatnot. And they're also just very nice. They're air conditioned. They're good to take naps if you don't want to go back to the hotel room. But if you do want to go back to the hotel room, that is okay. Your ticket will last you the entire day. So if you need to go back to your hotel room, but you decide you want to go back to the park that you went to, even if you don't have Park Hopper, I think you can still go back to the park that you first
Mm-hmm.
stepped into
That's right.
with your ticket.
Great tip.
So, yeah, it's a very good tip.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
say
because
you
the
had,
complimentary transportation takes you there and brings you back.
yep,
Yep.
and there should be no problems with scanning your ticket or your Magic Band and whatnot and going back in, especially if you have like a dinner reservation or something.
Yeah.
Though
Yeah.
there are other parents who may be like, okay, my kids need a nap. We'll just spend the rest of the day at the resort, and that is a-okay. It is whatever your family can handle.
That's
Don't
right.
Mm-hmm.
overdo it.
Great tip.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really good information.
Maintain the happiness.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
Yeah.
nobody will be having fun if the kids are too tired to even
No,
realize that they're at Disney.
no, it will not be happy for them, and that's not going to be happy for their parents.
No.
Yeah.
That's a great tip.
It is. And also, on that piggybacking on the family routine and also younger children, don't forget about the things that are really awesome for the kids.
Hmm.
Like It's a Small World, or if you have a younger son or whatever, Buzz Lightyear, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
There's so many rides that are just really really neat
Toy Story
that
Mania.
Oh,
that the
yeah.
It's
kids
fun.
I
will just
love.
eat it up. Alien swirling saucers. You
Yeah,
know,
too much fun.
just so many things that you can just do that the young ones will be able to do.
Yeah,
So even if they're not tall enough to ride Space Mountain or whatever, then there's still a lot of things that they'll be able to do.
yeah, and Magic Kingdom Park specifically has the most things for young kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A lot to do. A lot
Oh,
to do.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm going to go to some packing stuff. Actually, just two
Mm.
specific packing tips. One, since we have to be in our phones so much while in the app at the park and doing lightning lanes, etc., always make sure you have at least one external uh, power something to charge your phone. And two, we always take either a partially empty suitcase or a totally empty suitcase because we know we're going to be coming back with more than we left with. That's just the way it is if you have kids. I mean, you're going to get the souvenirs and you got to have someplace to put them. So we might put our shoes in one suitcase and then just on the way back, we'll put our souvenirs in that suitcase, put our shoes with everything else. So just kind of prepare ahead. It's
Yeah,
going to happen. You
Yeah.
think it's not going to happen, but let me tell you, it's happening.
it's happening. you know, um, you'll be amazed. At least I think I will. This kind of comes back just a little bit to slowing down and taking time to enjoy the moments as they happen. smell the roses, so to speak. And I think you'll be amazed at what key item you or your children will remember out of their trip. When you're finishing up and it's the sad day of having to come back home,
Hmm.
you know, think about it and think about and ask your kids what their favorite memory is, and also tell them what your favorite memory was. You know, for me, what's really amazing is how I remember the little things, like the time when we went into Morocco, and we never went into Morocco, but we went into Morocco and we walked to the back, and there was Princess Jasmine and the genie, and Sophie had like 10 minutes uninterrupted time with Princess Jasmine, and the genie is trying to get her attention so badly, and she was
Oh.
having none of it. And I've got a priceless picture of her whispering into Jasmine's ear that she was going to get a Princess Jasmine costume. And that was all she wanted for her souvenir, was that costume. And she ended up getting it. And that was her only souvenir. And she was telling her, and I have the most priceless photo from that time, you
Oh.
know?
Yeah.
And it's amazing. That was 12, 14 years ago. And yet it's right here like it happened yesterday.
There's always something. There's
Uh-huh.
gonna be something. This is my favorite from my most recent trip. My little Walt
Oh.
statue, and it sits on my desk. There's gonna be something. You can.
Yeah.
There's gonna be something you're gonna have to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a memory that you're going to remember long after they do,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're going to remember something you know, that you didn't even think of.
Yes. Yes. Especially
So,
the older we get.
so, but yeah, it's just amazing, those sorts of things. So don't, don't be surprised if, you know, for Sophie, I guess one of her favorite things was when she got FA9
Oh
for her
yeah.
birthday,
Oh
and she had
yeah.
no expectation of going to build a droid, and
Sweet.
and she did, and and
It
that
was
was
so much
so cool,
fun.
and it was so
Which,
So
cool.
sweet.
by the way, did you know that at Disneyland they are no longer doing reservations for those? You just walk up and build the droid
Wow, I'm
at
not
They didn't have any
Disneyland.
surprised.
business for that.
I'm not surprised.
At
Yeah,
Disneyland. I
yeah,
don't know about Disney World.
No,
yeah,
Disney World, you still have to have reservations.
but I'm not surprised with Disneyland.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, but in any event, just those sorts of things. Um, it's just amazing what you're going to remember about your trip.
Yeah.
So,
About every
and
trip.
those and about every trip, and those memories add up, and it's just really neat. So,
Yes. Makes a happy life.
all right, are there any other things we want to include?
Oh, there's lots of stuff.
There is.
If you okay, so we all know that Epcot has awesome festivals. They have
Hmm.
the Flower and Garden Festival, Food and Wine. I mean, these are, not only included in your park ticket, but a lot of people plan their trips around when those festivals are happening, and they choose their dates based on that. And I have to recommend, if you're going specifically because you want to enjoy the festivals at Epcot, staying at an Epcot area resort that you can just walk into the park. That's Yacht Club, Beach Club,
Boardwalk
Boardwalk
in.
Inn, and
Yeah.
it just makes it so convenient to walk in there and then just walk out at the end of the night and you're right there. It's If you can swing it, I
Or
recommend.
even just a Skyliner resort.
True. If
Yes.
Because,
budget, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
which again, Pop Century, Skyliner Resort, best one there is.
So plan your place to stay based on where you want to spend
Most
Most
of
most
of
your
your
time.
of your
time.
time.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and that's very valid point. Um, it's really neat when you can walk in to the international gateway to get to Epcot, and
Yes.
the
My
lines are a
favorite.
lot less. The lines are a lot less.
A lot
Yeah.
less, for sure.
Yeah. And it's much easier to get through the security because there's not as big a line, and you're right there and you're in World Showcase.
Yep.
Or is it called World Showcase? World Celebration? I don't know. But anyway,
And
it's World
I'll
Showcase in this whole
piggyback
month.
on I'll piggyback on that comment with another tip or idea, which this, depends on the type of person you are. But say you're going for 7 days. This is just an example. Say you're going for 7 nights, 8 days. You have a 7-day ticket. You want to go to Food and Wine, say for instance, for at least, a couple of those days. And the rest of the time you want to go to the other parks. And you have a champagne dream, but a beer budget. You can stay at a value property for the first part of your trip, save the Epcot for the end, stay at a value property, and then split your stay to maybe one of the deluxe properties right there at Epcot. If you don't mind kind of living out of your suitcase or packing up after several days and moving, you just take your luggage to Bell Services. Sometime that day, they'll transfer it to the other resort, and that way you can still experience a
Mm-hmm.
deluxe property if that's your wish, but you don't have to spend all that money. You can stay, like, value it first and then split stay up to a deluxe property, and just plan your park touring based on where you are
Yeah.
staying at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fun because
That
Okay.
is.
those deluxe properties aren't getting any cheaper. Those are,
No.
man.
Oh, such a shame.
That's a good point. It is a little bit um you do have to think about it, and that's where planning really comes into effect. You have to say, Mike, Brenda, I want to stay here day 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to stay here day 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
And you'll
You
base
know?
your dining reservations on what park you're going to, et cetera, based on where you're, but it's, the planning is fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Hmm.
So so that is certainly something that that your travel agent can help you with. You can do it yourself as well, but it's a little bit harder, and you have to think about all the what ifs. What do I need to do about this? What do I need to do about that? And so forth. So, all right. Well, um, I'm running out of things in my mind. I'm sure there'll be
Yeah.
something after I finish, but I don't remember
Well, if you're
anything else
going
right now.
during and I'm probably less patient. The older I get, the less patient I get. I'm going to preface with that, and I'm sorry to say, I I'm happy to be around people. I'm happy to see families having a wonderful time. But when we're there during extremely busy times, which is either a busy time in the summer or like Christmas week or something like that, I do I'm up to here with getting on the overcrowded buses and having to stand when I'm exhausted and etc. So during those times, we will often opt for using Uber or Lyft.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
can get dropped off near the entrance of Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. But if you're going to be going to Magic Kingdom, you cannot be dropped off at the entrance there. And you're not going to probably be able to be dropped off at one of the monorail resorts because they're going to want to know if you have a reservation for dining or whatever, what your reservation number is, etc. Or you're going to be dropped off at the Transportation and Ticket Center. So just know, if you don't want to do the bus and you're going to Magic Kingdom, you're going to be dropped off at the Transportation and Ticket Center, and that's going to
Hmm.
add a lot of time to your transport. So don't have an early morning dining reservation you can't get to without planning ahead for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of people probably don't get I just get like, I'm over it after. I just,
No, I get it. I totally get it.
That's why
Yeah.
we like to go when it's less crowded because it's, just
Yeah.
more
I
enjoyable.
have
But
been hearing some things about the summer becoming like a new off season for Disney, though, especially with the opening of Epic Universe and all of the holidays being closer towards the end of the year and whatnot. That might be why they were promoting that free dining plan promotion for
yeah.
a while there.
Well, and
I
it's
will.
hot and it's very humid. It's
It
just like being
is.
here. So it's like not, you know,
Point is, also talk to your travel agents about that because we can help speculate when the prices might go up or come down. It really is all dependent on a whole bunch of factors, but the
Mhm.
travel agents are usually tuned into said factors and variables, so they would be the best place to start. In fact, they are the best place to start. I know my dad is, and I know Aunt Brenda is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
main thing
I
is
don't.
take your family. You will not regret it. It is magical. It
Yeah.
truly is.
It is.
Yeah. So that's a good closing argument.
Yeah.
So I think we have a great list. And listeners, friends, we do want to hear from you because I know that there's something that I have forgotten to mention.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it'll happen
100%.
as soon as I hit stop recording, then it'll come to me. And at that point, guess what? It's too late.
Yep.
Yep. And there's a lot of other tips on my list, but it's like you can't be here all day long. I mean, it's like you have to kind of pass along the most important ones.
Yeah. So, what's on your list? That's what we would love to know because then we might call you and say, "Hey, Mike, you had this tip. Can you help me plan my trip?" And they'll be like, "I'm not a travel agent, Mike. You're the travel agent." And I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, that's right. Thanks for reminding me." Anyway, enough silliness. Um, that was a great feature topic, I think. So, thank you for listening, and it is time to move on to this day in Disney history. So, Sophie, what have you got for us?
I have got something old. Really, really old.
Oh,
But not quite as old as the oldest.
okay.
Maybe maybe closer to like the second oldest, I think. 1786 is the year.
Goodness.
I'm pretty sure the oldest year we've had is somewhere in the 1500s. But,
Probably.
but this time we're talking about February 24th, 1786, where a writer and linguist named Wilhelm Karl Grimm is born in Hanau, Germany. He and his older brother Jacob were the first to collect, write down, and publish such classic folk tales as Rapunzel, Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty. That's
Oh,
right, the
their brother.
brothers Grimm,
Nice.
Yay.
Nice.
That's
who
awesome.
without them we would not have such classic animated movies from the Walt Disney Company.
That's right.
No, we wouldn't.
And it's a good thing that it was so long ago because then the copyright didn't exist.
That's true.
So, that is good history, Sophie.
Very.
That is really good history.
Well, thank you.
I have what will probably be an easy one because, let's face it, Stump the Soph is really not Stump the Soph. It's let's see how smart Sophie is and have her show it off.
Well,
But
Yeah.
Daddy, it's been a couple weeks.
yeah,
Stump the soap. Oh my goodness. Good luck.
thank
That
you.
girl is so smart.
Hmm.
So I have a character in mind and I am going to see if I can do that. I have a couple different things. So, first is a quote. You
Okay.
ready, Soph?
Yeah.
The quote is, "They're so adorable. Let's adopt them."
They're so adorable. Let's adopt them.
Any idea?
Okay. Not yet.
Okay. This character is married to another character.
Yeah, I figured as much. So it's a married person. They adopted at least 2 children or animals or whatnot. It's a Pixar character.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
This character has detachable body parts.
I'm sorry, what?
Detachable body parts. This is harder than they ever have been.
Detachable, like Mr. Potato Head detachable?
Oh my gosh. It's Mrs. Potato Head.
That's right, it is Mrs. Potato Head.
Thank you, Aunt Brenda.
Brenda saves the bacon.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, that's ham. Never mind. Yes, Mrs. Potato Head. You remember the aliens?
Yes,
They're
I
so
remember now.
adorable. Let's adopt them.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
so adorable. Let's adopt them. That's what
Her
Exactly.
she
voice
sounded
is
like.
priceless. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Oh,
Because I was about to be stumped.
oh God. I had nothing for the character. I just couldn't think of any other way to detach her body parts than Mr. Potato Head.
Way to go, Brenda.
Way to go, Sophie. I had nothing with the character. I was just trying
No,
to think
you
of how people were
helped me.
detaching their parts.
Oh gosh.
You helped me. You saved me there.
Yay! Very good. Yep, Sophie's record is amazing. It's like I don't even know how many weeks into this year we've been doing it, but she's whatever to 0.
She is perfect for 2025.
yeah,
Oh,
she's perfect for every year.
So,
thank you.
Mrs. Potato Head.
Very
She is,
good.
yeah.
Yay.
All right. Well, Brenda, close us out with a little bit of Walt.
All right. I reject luck. I feel every person creates his own determinism by discovering his best aptitudes and following them undeviatingly. Walt Disney. Yep.
Yeah, I reject
Not-
luck also.
Did not rely on luck.
Mm-mm.
I
We are
rely
born
on
with
it a
We
little.
need to do what we need to do, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, that, my friends, closes us out for this week. Next week, we are bringing an ABCs of Disney episode. Things we like at Disney that start with the letter C.
Yay!
The letter C.
Yay!
Or is it this way that it needs to be? I don't know. But anyway, the letter C.
Cupcakes.
Oh,
Cupcakes.
that's
They're
one.
my
Cookies.
favorite.
Carrot cake cookies.
Carrot
Yep.
cake
Triple
cookies.
C there for you.
Favorite.
And
Mine's
We
all going to be
could-
food.
I got some characters.
yeah.
Characters.
you go.
Characters.
Yeah. Well, that is next week, though. We can't start now.
Nope,
Although we
not
already
yet.
did.
But now I want to have a cupcake, so I'm just saying.
There you go. Well, we hope you have a great week. If you're having a great week, wear a smile, that everyone will know that you're having a great week. And if you're having a rough week, look at someone. Hopefully they'll have a smile on their face and it'll make you feel a little bit better. Yes, look at Brenda's smile. Look at Sophie's smile. Grogu smiles.
Is a better smile.
And don't forget to share a smile with someone else when they need it. So, until next week, I'm Mike. She's Sophie. That's Brenda. And he's Grogu. And we will see you on the road. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.